Hey everybody, how are you doing? Well, we here in Iowa are waiting for another winter storm. It looks like we are going to get it. It seems like the storms here in Iowa Falls have gone either south of us or north of us, but it looks like we're going to get some winter. Yesterday I had opportunity to pull my exhaust and my heat shields off the bike. I'm going to have to get them powder coated. I noticed my exhaust is extremely rusty. And maybe that's from riding before the salt's off the road. I'm not sure, but I know this. Hopefully by spring I'll have it all taken care of. Hey, I want to take a minute or two and talk to you today about making sure your motorcycle is safe. Motorcycling is perhaps one of the most unsafe things we do in this world. In the sense that you I've told somebody I got 6 gallons of gasoline between my legs and 2 wheels to run it on. There are motorcycle fatalities all of the time. And that's tragic. There are things that could be prevented that we need to be careful of. And so I'm going to talk to you about some of those things. The first thing is your tires. Make sure your tires have plenty of tread. I believe it was Slider that told me once we were talking, and he said when your motorcycle tires are down to 3/32, which is the legal, the minimum legal depth there to have, when they're down to 3/32, your stopping distance doubles on wet or damp pavement. You think about that. Being able to stop is kind of important. The other thing is having a tire blowout. And I'm not sitting here letting you know that I've never ridden on thin tires. I have, and I'm not happy with it. But I want you to know that your tires, you need to inspect them. You need to make sure they have at least 3/32 tread on them. What's interesting is some of the guys you see walking around that are either road captains or enforcers with a great big old knife on them. You know what that knife is for? It's not for other people. It's because when they have a person in their organization with a motorcycle tire that's too thin, they pull out that big old honking Bowie knife and pop the tire. And now they will change it. And the reason is because if you're riding in a pack and your tires blow, you put everyone's life in jeopardy. Everyone. Even people in front of you, because they're looking to see what's happened and they're looking behind them to see what's going on rather than in front of them. You need to make sure your tires are good. That means you need to check your tires for weather checks. You need to check your tires to make sure that the tread is good. And you need to check your air pressure. I carry an air pressure and gauge and a tire depth gauge in my motorcycle all of the time. Before every long road trip. And I mean any road trip that's maybe over 200 miles. I always check my air pressure. The best way to have your tires last a long time is to keep the air pressure right. And if you don't, we were on a trip years ago, about 250 miles away. It was about a 5-hour ride. We got almost there, and I noticed one of our guys had a front tire that to me looked spongy. And so I whipped out my air gauge, and they were down to 10 psi on a front tire. That's pretty dangerous. Make sure that you check the pressure in your tires. A third thing that you ought to be checking is your brakes. Every oil change, your brakes ought to be checked. The fact that they engage well, and the fact that you have plenty of brake pad. Brake pads are not very expensive. And if you can't stop, it's about as bad as somebody who can't go around a corner. If the guy can't stop, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So check your brake pads. Look them over. Make sure they're okay. These new Harleys, I was amazed. I replaced my rear pads this year. And I was amazed as to how easy these new brake calipers, the pads go in the calipers and they get put together. Everything is just fits perfectly. They are so nice. And so check your brakes and make sure they're good. And a fourth thing is to make sure that you do not have oil leaks. Oil on the road is never a good thing. A few years ago, I was riding in our town, went around a corner, and apparently somebody had spilled something off their truck. Oil or something. All I know, I went around the corner and I hit it a little bit, and I was all of a sudden sideways in the road. I rode it out okay, but I also realized that if I'd had somebody with me, I'd have taken them out. Make sure that your bike is not dripping oil, and be careful on the road in front of you. You pay attention to it. It's important that you get home safely. And can I share with you a fifth thing? And this is meddling. Okay? I know it's a big thing for bikers to go out to various rallies, various bike nights, and slam down 4 or 5 beers and then take off for home. One of the stupidest things you can do is to drink and ride your motorcycle. It is as dumb a thing as you can think of. Motorcycles take a little bit of coordination. The difference between a near miss and a fatality is milliseconds of reaction time. And alcohol always slows down your reaction time. If you're out there and you're drinking, your reaction time is slowed, your ability to control that motorcycle is hampered. You put your life and everybody else's life in danger. And so I want to encourage you to make sure you ride sober. Don't be a fool. Now, I am a non-drinker. All of our health fighters, none of us drink alcohol. But I'm not sitting there in judgment of you for drinking. What I'm saying is if you're going to drink and ride, you are as dumb as a post. And you can fight me on that if you want. Don't drink and ride. It's really, really stupid. Along with that manner, I'm thinking about how we keep ourselves safe in the Christian world. On a motorcycle, I know I can make sure I have good tires on my bike, make sure that I have good brakes on my bike, make sure that my bike is mechanically up to snuff, make sure I don't have any oil leaks, and make sure I'm sober while I'm riding. Well, as a Christian, we need to make sure that we are in the race in a good way as well. I want to read a couple verses to you. They're found in Hebrews chapter 12. Say, therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Lay aside the things that are going to hinder you. Lay aside the weight. Lay aside the sin that's going to wreck you. And run with patience the race that's set before you. Not only should my motorcycle be copacetic, but I should be as well. If I'm going to run this race for God, I need to get rid of the weights in my life that hinder me from serving God. I need to get rid of the sin in my life that so easily besets me, and I need to run the race that is set before us. And the next verse says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. You think about how you run. You think about how you ride. You think about how you live your life. And as a follower of Jesus, it's looking unto Jesus. Today I want to encourage you to make sure you have a fun ride. If you're watching this from warmer climates, you are probably going to be out riding even as you watch this. Or maybe after you watch this. Us here in Iowa, we've got a couple more months of ice and snow. And so that helps me to get some things done on the bike. And like I say, I'm going to have my exhaust taken care of, get it powder coated, and be ready to ride by spring. Hey, I want to encourage you to ride safe. Make sure your equipment is maintained and enjoy the ride. It's a day the Lord's given us. Let us rejoice and be glad in it.